Hello everyone. Welcome to session 2 of LTEC 623 Digital Video Design. In today's video, we're going to cover 3 topics. First, we're going to get to know each other a bit more by reviewing the results of the equipment and prior knowledge inventory. We have a pretty big class, so it will be helpful to see how everyone responded. After that, I want to review a few key aspects of the session 1 reading by Derry, Sherin, and Sherin. I like this article because it gives us a nice overview of a lot of different aspects of teaching and learning with video. Although the authors focused mainly on teacher professional development, much of what they write about applies across settings and types of learners. And finally, we'll talk about our next steps in the class and how we'll go about balancing perspectives in this interdisciplinary course on digital video. So let's get started. All right, introductions. Who are we and what do we know? Well, one way to answer these questions is to look at the results of the equipment and prior knowledge inventory. In total, 22 people responded, and, not surprisingly, everyone in the class has access to a video recording device. Of course, that's great news. In addition, the vast majority of you reported that your main video recording device will be a smartphone. I guess we're truly in an era of smartphones. For some of my demonstration videos, I'll also use a smartphone. There may be times when I rely on different cameras for some of our tutorials, but for the most part, I'll be using my phone throughout the semester. In terms of computers, the results are mixed. Roughly 14 or 15 of you are using Apple computers for the class. The rest of you are on Windows. This is good to know and should help us avoid a lot of compatibility problems that can sometimes occur with other operating systems. The next question asked if you were comfortable transferring video files from a video recording device to a computer. Here we also saw some mixed results. About 77% of you suggested you were comfortable transferring these files, which means there's 4 or 5 people who may need some help in this area. This is no problem at all. I'll work with you when you need it until you get the hang of getting files where you need them. In terms of experience working on educational and non-educational videos, the class was split 50-50. About half of you said yes, you have been involved in such productions, whereas the other half said no. This is to be expected, and I encourage the folks with some background in this area to draw on that experience and share what you've learned with the rest of us. The next set of questions asked about comfort with video editing software packages. For consumer-oriented video editing packages, about 45% of you reported being experienced, and another 40% disagreed or strongly disagreed with the idea of being experienced. When asked about professional video editing software, about 12 or 13 of you disagreed with being experienced in this area. Not that surprising. There are a few folks with more substantial editing experience, which is great. You folks can share tips and tricks along the way as we get into our more substantial video assignments. The second to last question asked if you've ever posted a video to a video sharing site. The majority of you said yes, with only 3 or 4 of you saying no. Again, this is no problem at all. We'll be walking through step by step how to upload and share videos in the weeks ahead. The good news is the tools for doing this kind of work have really improved over the past few years, so it's really simple. The final question asked if you've ever taught a lesson using video as an important component of the learning experience. Over 60% of you said yes. Of course, answers to this question are largely based on career path. Some of you are actual teachers and are trainers, whereas others of you are working more on the production and design side of things and are therefore much less likely to be up in front of learners directing a lesson with video. So that's an overview of our survey results. I wanted to walk through all of this with you so that you have a sense of who else is in the class. Hopefully, you get the feeling that there are other people in the class with similar equipment and prior knowledge as you. The intent, of course, is to help everyone feel a little less isolated in this online, asynchronous context. With that in mind, thank you everyone for submitting your Flipgrid videos. I really enjoyed watching them and hearing about the role video has played in your own educations. I hope that seeing each other and hearing each other's voices helped you feel a bit more connected to the group. Okay, in the next section, I'd like to highlight a couple of key ideas from the Derry, Sherin, and Sherin article titled Multimedia Learning with Video. We started with this article because it does a nice job of laying out what is known about video in educational contexts. Even though it is focused on teacher professional development, most of the concepts covered apply to other contexts. So let's review a couple of big ideas that were covered. The first big idea I want to reinforce is the notion that video is not a silver bullet. In a class like this, it's pretty easy to get gung-ho about video, which is great. We want to be enthusiastic and take things to the next level. But we have to keep ourselves grounded. One way to do this is to remind ourselves that, like all other media, video has limitations. And these limitations are based on actual research with real learners. So there are real hazards that we have to be on the lookout for when using video in education. For example, it's been shown that viewers can only attend to a selection of what might be noticed, and that selection may be biased in ways that may hinder learning. Another limitation is that viewers may be distracted by seductive details or features that can cause cognitive overload. In addition, viewers can form strong, lasting impressions based on very thin slices of video. Furthermore, viewers may notice irrelevant personality characteristics and fail to notice important features such as decision-making, content knowledge, and pedagogical content knowledge associated with effective teaching and learning. And finally, viewers may take an evaluative perspective that hinders their ability to consider why a video event plays out the way it does and what they might learn from it. Taken together, it's clear that video isn't perfect. While we need to keep these limitations in mind, don't let this list discourage you. Video is a rich, powerful medium, and as we'll see, it's radically changing the way we teach and learn, even more so in the 21st century. The second part of the Derry article that I want to highlight are the dimensions of video-based learning. Given the complexity of video as a medium and all the variations in today's educational contexts, dimensions like these can help make sure we're considering the promise and pitfalls of video from all angles. They will also help us as students of video use shared language in a way that will help us think and communicate more effectively about the complexities of video. The first dimension raised by Derry and colleagues is technological infrastructure. In other words, what's possible, technically speaking, with video. It wasn't too long ago that video was mainly shared through VHS tapes and laser discs. What was possible technically with VHS is considerably different than what is possible with today's digital video tools. The ability to control the video, jump ahead, loop a portion of the video, bookmark it, and segment it are all more or less mainstream functionality that we have access today. But this has been a long time coming, and these are all examples of the technological infrastructure surrounding video. The second dimension is the video content itself. What is the video about? How is it produced? As you can imagine, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of decisions are involved in making educational videos. Each of these decisions may impact the learner experience downstream. Thus, we need to pay close attention to video content. Case in point, a quick search on TeacherTube returned 104 videos about ants. No two of those videos are the same, so which one is the best for a given lesson? Not an easy question. The point is that video content matters and should not be underestimated. The third important dimension is task structure. This has to do with what we're asking learners to do with video. As they ask in the article, what is the task to be performed? For your Session 1 assignment, I gave you a time limit and a prompt, but beyond that, what you did to create your Flipgrid video was pretty much wide open. In contrast, the assignment could have been much more prescriptive in nature. Do this, then say that. I point this out because these are examples of task structure, how video is actually used by learners. is just as important as the content of the video itself and the underlying technological infrastructure delivering the video. The final dimension is social structure, and this has to do with the context in which video is being used. In your own experiences, I'm sure you've been exposed to video in a variety of social structures, such as part of a class or perhaps as part of training at work. Of course, some of you, I'm sure, have watched videos all alone as you learn more about a hobby or an area of interest. The point is, each of these scenarios differs in terms of its social structure and will inevitably influence what and how people approach learning with video. Okay, I wanted to take a few minutes to recap these 4 dimensions because they can help us in at least 2 ways. First, they will help make sure we're thinking about video from each of these important perspectives. And secondly, they will help ensure we're talking about the same things, that we're aligned in our own analyses, as these dimensions give us some shared language to use when talking about video and video-related lessons. Of course, we can take these 4 dimensions and think about Flipgrid. Flipgrid bills itself as giving every student a voice. Obviously, Flipgrid allows students to record short videos and reply to each other's videos. What's interesting is we can apply the dimensions of video-based learning to Flipgrid by asking ourselves, what was possible, technically speaking, with Flipgrid? What were the videos about? How were they shot and produced? What were we asked to do? What was the Flipgrid task? And what was the social context in which the videos were being used? Using this applied example, I hope you can see the value of these 4 dimensions in considering videos and video sharing platforms from multiple points of view. Finally, I want to end today's session by talking briefly about what we'll be doing in session 2. In the course introduction, we emphasized how we'll be studying video in the context of a school of education. For this reason, we're going to have to balance 2 distinct sets of theory, education theory and video theory. We'll do our best throughout the semester to walk a line between these 2 perspectives, attempting to find where they intersect in meaningful ways. With this in mind, from an education perspective, we're going to be reading about do-it-yourself media. This will introduce some important concepts about the role of digital culture and the lives of today's youth and online personalities. I hope this article inspires your inner do-it-yourselfer/videographer. This wonderful reading will touch upon some profound educational concepts such as social practice, affinity spaces, and participatory culture. While you read this, keep in mind that creating digital videos, which is what we're going to be doing a lot this semester, is an example of do-it-yourself media. I think you'll find the article inspiring and rooted in some important ideas for 21st century education. So that's one half of our balancing act. The second part has to do with video theory. And on this front, we'll be learning about our so-called aesthetic field. Specifically, we'll be learning about light and how it can be and should be deliberately manipulated for specific communication purposes. And as we'll see, good lighting is essential for making high-quality videos. So that's a sneak peek of our topics for session 2. All other details about what you need to do are online in Canvas. And with that, I'll say goodbye and have a great week.